Chicago and Chase Young to San Francisco. Trading Montez was something that really tough decision, but something that we felt was in the best interest of the football team. We really appreciate everything Montez had did for us. A heck of a football player who came in and did some nice things and really fit well. But again, football is a very difficult business, and a lot of things change and things happen. And so we made the decision. Really do appreciate everything that Montez did for us, and want to wish him the best in Chicago as he finishes up, his opportunities there. As far as Chase is concerned, because the 49ers are on their bye week, slowing the process down a little bit, I can't comment on that until it's done. So I'll be happy to talk about Montez or New England.
So with Montez, for a while there, it sounded like you guys wanted to try and extend him. And does this signal a shift in maybe thinking of how you want to try building the roster going forward, or what changed in that? Well,
I think, again, when you look at some of the things that have happened for us this year and in terms of growth and development, and looking at what's happening at the quarterback position, we feel really good about who Sam is becoming for us, and again, looking at some of the things that are going on, and with the compensation we're getting for these players, it's going to give us an opportunity to continue to build for the future and do things a little differently. There may be a little bit of a shift in terms of the paradigm and how we're going to construct things, and been a lot of things that we have talked about. It's been an interesting 10 days probably as far as those things are concerned.
And obviously when you trade two guys like this, I know you can't talk about Chase, but when you make these kind of moves, from the outside, people are going to look at like, oh, you're 3-5. They're getting rid of two of their better talents. Are they starting to, like lack of a better phrase, punt on the season? And so how would you address, and how would you?
No, what I would say is, based on some of the things that we've seen and some of the growth and development we have, it's an opportunity to see what else we have. It's an opportunity to go out and, win football games using different guys. And we feel that we have an opportunity to go out and play well. We look forward to seeing what some of these young guys can do. We do think that, there's every opportunity in front of us. And, I've gone through this before. In 2014, I went through the same thing. We were late in the season, and we put a bunch of young guys that we felt had the opportunity or deserved the opportunity and put them out on the field and ended up in the playoffs. We won some games that gave us a chance. Do we have that opportunity? I think this is what this is. I think it's the same kind of an opportunity. We do feel strongly about the quarterback. It's something that, I talked about in the offseason. I've talked about through training camp. I've talked through the beginning of the season about the growth and development, and we're seeing it. And so we want to see what we have and see if we can win football games and put ourselves in that same position.
Ron, are those guys still here if you were able to beat Philly last week?
Well, again, that's something I'm not going to speculate about. What I'm going to talk about is where we are right now and again, what we're doing.
And then obviously you're consulting with Josh Harris during this process. What was that like to be working with ownership on this deal?
Well, for the most part, the process, probably started about 10 days ago. Our front office fielded a few calls about some of our players. And when we talked about it, one of the things we talked about was gathering information and what potentials were for some of our guys. We talked about that. We talked about what the plan should be in terms of decisions being made. And then we did reach out to Mr. Harris. We had a nice conversation about that. We talked about our plans, basically. We talked about what the potential could be and what the compensation could be. And he liked the ideas. He agreed with the ideas. And so we were all aligned, everything from coaching to personnel to Mr. Harris. And with that, we went out and, the front office, they did the deals that they did yesterday.
Ron, were you actually able to say your goodbyes to Tez and Chase yesterday? And what were those? Because there's a human element, right?
Right, there's a human element, and it's always difficult to say goodbye. And so when you get those opportunities, you do. And as far as I'm concerned, that stuff stays private.
The message to the team, because, again, that human element.
Right.
Teammates, brothers with Tez and Chase.
Absolutely.
What was your message to the guys today?
Well, the biggest message more than anything else was, guys, it's always difficult when you say goodbye to guys that help you and help grow and develop together. but it's also part of the business. It's the business side of it, and that's never easy. And for us, the biggest thing more than anything else is this is creating some opportunities for some other guys. It's creating a different opportunity for us as a football team, and we've got to take and make the best of it.
Ron, how much did the maybe slower activity throughout the league yesterday open the door to getting multiple deals done as the hours kind of came down?
Well, I think maybe that did have something to do with it because I do know that that at one point that things were kind of just moving very slowly throughout.
You may not be able to answer this because it pertains to the person you can't really talk about, but it's not about the trade per se. There was a story last night that hinted at him not following game plans, him not being coachable, all those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. And I'm not asking about the veracity of that report. I'm just asking about kind of that getting out about a player, whether it's accurate or not, but people obviously felt it was the truth, and they said it, and it got out.
Right, and I'm not sure why it got out. That's probably a bigger question. Again, if you're not going to put your name to it, then please don't do it. It's not fair. It's not fair to the player. As far as those things are concerned, it's just not, I don't know, palatable. It's a tough thing, but that's not, as far as the direction we're heading and what we're doing. I think the biggest thing, that's not a driving force in what we're doing. What we're doing is we're doing what we feel is the paradigm shift of what we want to do. We feel we have a quarterback. We feel we have a guy going forward that, we have a chance to grow and become what we think we can. And to do so, you've got to be able to, afford the situation. And I think that's what's growing for us right now is that we're putting ourselves in position to do those things. And it's not just saying we're going to build everything on offense, but it gives us a chance to spread it around and keep some of the guys that we want to keep, go after some of the guys we want to go after, and draft who we want to draft. And when you have, if we end up with the 5 picks within the top 100 or whatever that number is, that's pretty good for us going forward.
And you built this around 4 first-round defensive picks and a bunch of first-rounders. I just wonder how you feel about how that ended and the lack of success, rather, the lack of consistency, rather, with that group.
I think that's a big part of it, but I think a lot of the lack of consistency, too, has also been trying to find and develop that quarterback. I think that's a lot of the things that we've had to deal with, is that if you can get to that point and you have your guy sooner, then – maybe things turn out differently, but we never got to that point, and that was the hard thing, was that and I know this franchise has been looking for quite some time, and for the first time, in a while, I think that guy might be here. I really do, and I mean, I just got done looking at a bunch of stuff from the analytics of football, and they're all pointing in the right direction as far as the quarterback is concerned.
Even after you re-signed Daron Payne, was there any part of you, as you're watching Chase or Montez and both of them kind of develop and get back into it in the offseason throughout training camp, is there any part of you that's still sort of surprised by the outcome now?
Sorta. I mean, but again, that's speculation. I mean, I couldn't tell you what was going to happen after the draft. 4 seasons ago, I couldn't have told you what happened. In our second season. So I don't want to get into that, but for me, looking at where we are, the thing that I'm pleased about is that it really does feel like we may have found the quarterback.
And then just in stepping up for those guys, have you had any conversation with Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams?
Yes, for the most part, really just talk about opportunity and as well as some of the younger guys, too, that are going to get chances to step out on the field and play a little bit more as well. I think that's the thing that's exciting is really to find out where that is.
You talked about him a little bit earlier, but what did you learn, if anything, about working with Josh throughout this process?
I think working with Mr. Harris and again, the whole group of us coming together, talking about, the plan and what we see and what the potential is, and listening to, everybody's ideas, and then talking with Mr. Harris and answering his questions and listening to his points. We all really found that this is a deep thinker. I mean, this is a guy that really, as you bring stuff to him and he digests all that, he's really thoughtful. And it's something that doesn't happen quickly. There's no knee-jerk reaction to anything. And again, it was really kind of cool just listening to him in terms of hey, I like what you guys are talking about. I like division. So that's it's one of those things that if you bring the work to him, work's prepared, ready to go, it makes it an easier conversation, a better conversation.
Did anything he said stand out to you specifically?
I would say if there was anything was the excitement for the potential.
Potential of Sam or potential of what?
The potential of the team.
Because Richardson, Snyder, it was one person. This group's so large. Do you just talk to Josh in these situations, or do you talk to others?
This is about talking to Mr. Harris.
Gotcha. And then you've been doing this a long time. Does this position feel odd for you, trading guys away like that in season?
No, because again, in my 36 years in the NFL, I've seen it happen before to teams that I've been coaching on, and as a head coach, we've done it before as well. And it does it seem odd? Yeah, it is odd because it doesn't happen a lot. But when you do it, it's because what you think is best for the team. I mean, that's why we did anything we do. It's we just think it's the best thing for us more so than anything else. And it's the hard part of it as well because you see these young men, you see them grow and develop, and they do their best that they can for you, and you want to make sure they know that they've been appreciated. But sometimes the business of it steps up, and that's what this is. The business side of football has stepped in.
Patriots question for you. That staff is obviously known for its blitz packages, what it can do defensively. How do you get Sam ready for that?
Well, the biggest thing again is just what we've been doing is you watch tape, you go through the walkthroughs in practice, you go through practice, you come back, you watch the tape, you watch the corrections. And again, just trying to make sure we cover all the bases in terms of those things as to, hey, this is what they do. When they do this is how we want to be able to handle that. This is what your reads are. This is what the best decisions to make is this. I mean, we'll go over those things over and over and over. And, again, just trying to make sure, Sam is comfortable with everything that we do and have some specific, checks for it or audibles or options for him to go to and use.
When you guys have a situation like, fourth and short or, when you need to make a decision, I know obviously that would normally land on your plate, but with EB, his title, what he came in with, what's his involvement in that? Does he have the say on that, or does that stay on your plate?
Well, whether we go or not, it's typically my decision. I most certainly do ask him, and we talk about it earlier in the week. We have a checklist that we go through before the game. And one of the questions on it is everything from fourth down calls to whether we go for two or not. What are the plays that he has set up for those twos, those go for twos, or for the fourth down situations. What he feels is the best pass option, and what he thinks is the best run option, and we discuss those things. One thing that we also do is if we get into third down situations and we're at the right spot on the field. I will typically tell them, hey, you've got 2 downs, and in those 2 downs, the idea now knows that you don't have to get it all at once, but if you can get it as close as you can, and hey, we'll go for it again on the fourth down. So we try to make sure those things have been already discussed before we get to those situations.
Ron, how do you decide that yesterday was the right time to trade them instead of saying, hey, if they walk, we can get a comp pick, or maybe we could tag and trade? How do you decide that yesterday is the right?
Well, I think when you look at what the options were and what the opportunities were in terms of the value, and that's where Eugene Chen comes in is being able to talk about what the potential value is. Those things all came into play.
All right. Nice.
All right.